welcome to another episode of Wow You Can Cook. And today, Dr. Gloria has an amazing recipe for no mayo potato salad. This is something you can use in the hot weather. And we had a little blooper. First time for everything, right? So because we were gone last week, we had a little bit of confusion of what we were supposed to cook this week. And so I'll let Gloria explain.
Thank you, Tracy. Yeah, we did. And what's that saying you have?
Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not break.
Exactly. So we're not going to break, in tradition, that is. What happened was I misunderstood as well and thought we had screwed up because we were gone a week. And so one person, bless her heart, went back and read my blog that I put on, and that was about the salmon today. But it really is sticking to the schedule that we have, which today is going to be the potato salad without mayo. The reason this was made originally was because so many people were getting food poisoning. They go out boating, they go out for a picnic and a family reunion and whatever, and out on their backyard, and it was hot, and they let it sit out there with mayo. So this is how this came about many years ago, and it's delicious. So I think one of you made it and posted a picture. I don't remember who it was. So we're going to make the potato salad now, and then Linda LC, I think I can just say Linda. We don't have another Linda on. Linda is all prepared because she was gone during the week, so I screwed her up too. She's going to make the salmon patties, but that's okay because I've already given her instructions. The one thing that's important is and we'll talk about it next week, but the salmon patties do not come out well if you have a low flame. You want a high flame, like your high heat frying, because then the salmon or the tuna is already cooked. If you're using canned salmon or leftover salmon like I do, when we go out to eat, I always have leftover for patties. And so you want to be able to cook them quick, get them crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, okay? So Linda, you've got your marching orders, right? You'll tell us how you've got everything prepared. You'll tell us how it comes out. Okay. So now for the potatoes. This is a no mayo potato salad, and I think some of you have already made it. Put your thumbs up if you're making it today. Not that you already made it, but I know that Jill is. Sandy, you're making it today. That's it, right? The rest of you are observing or have something else going here. Okay, perfect. And then I have a little hint that Nancy G texted me. And I think if we have time at the end, it'd be nice for her to share it because I agree with what she put in my little private note. Okay, so the main thing is you're going to use white sweet potatoes or potatoes, whatever you're doing, if you're not avoiding inflammatory foods. And those have to be steamed, cut up in little pieces, just like you would use the size for potato salad. Now, a German potato salad would cut it in thin slices. They don't make it in cubes like I do. I only make it in slices when I make a hot salad, like a German potato salad. Then I make them in round, but that's up to you. Steam them. Make sure that you don't burn yourself. I always peel them first. I don't like to be peeling hot potatoes. So decide how you're going to do it. Those of you cooking, I think there's only Jill and Sandy. Do you have your potatoes peeled or unpeeled? Jill? They're not peeled? Okay, Sandy, are yours peeled, hon? You're muted, Sandy.
Do you recommend them eating skin, since skin is supposed to have like more of the nutrients?
Used to. I never, ever ate a potato without eating the skin. But the latest research states that even if you buy an organic potato, if there's something being sprayed around it on somebody's lawn or whatever, that skin of the potato really latches onto it. So I'm always concerned. But you're right. The skin, Tracy, has more nutrition. But if you're growing the potatoes yourself, that's different. Unless you have a neighbor that goes crazy with weed killer or something and you know the wind is blowing. So if you grow them yourself, no problem. Leave the skins on. I think it's delicious. But hold on, Lori. But when you're buying them conventionally, even if they're organic, I would peel them. I just think it's smarter. Lori?
I just have a question because I learned that it was good to soak your vegetables with the skin on in water, and then a teaspoon of baking soda or something, and that would get rid of all the.
Well, that was me that said that, baking soda or peroxide and white vinegar. That's true. But a potato skin, for some reason, of course, they're permeable. They're much like lettuce or cabbage or something that's soft like that. I just think that in this day and age, we have to be so careful. I peel mine. Okay. And then I steam them. You don't have to. If you feel comfortable with where you bought your potato, don't worry about it. Okay. But yes, you can use half peroxide and half white vinegar. Usually I use about a half a cup of each in about a gallon of water, and soak your vegetables 15 minutes and then rinse them real well. Now don't do it until you're ready to eat, because you can make them soggy. Like if you're soaking cauliflower or lettuce or squash, any of the zucchinis, they're going to get weird and they can mold easier. So don't do that until you're ready to eat them, and then soak them and then eat them. Okay. So good question though. Yes. Did that answer you, Lori?
I use the baking soda that's good. What is it called, Nancy? I can't remember.
Yeah, the Bob's or the Nancy's. That's fine. You can use that if you want. I mean, it's fine. I use the vinegar and white distilled vinegar more than I do the baking soda. Okay. But that's your choice. Okay. Alrighty. So you've got to peel your potatoes. In the meantime, if they're cooling because they're too hot to peel right now, go ahead and combine your other ingredients. So that would be a half a cup of oil. You can just mix this all together like you're making a salad dressing, because basically that's what you're doing. And that can be avocado. It can be olive oil, because you're not going to be cooking with it. So extra virgin olive oil is fine for this. You can also use pecan oil, which I love. I used pecan oil in the one we made. But being in Texas, pecan oil is everywhere. And so if you're going to use an infused oil, only use one that has lime or lemon, because you don't want other flavors. Like you don't want a raspberry flavor in this. I had somebody that did an infused oil that was given to her with raspberry, and she said it was awful. Well, that's not the flavor that goes with potato salad. Then you're going to mix 2 tablespoons of white balsamic vinegar. Now, I used champagne vinegar. You can use either one, whatever you like. I like it tart, so I used a little bit more. You're going to taste the dressing before you add it to the potatoes. I used 1 to 3 tablespoons of agave syrup. Now, yes, agave is sugar, and you're not going to want this every day. But you can also use sugar in the raw, which is also sugar, coconut sugar, or you can use literally monk fruit or stevia. I find the liquid stevia works just fine in this. It doesn't have to be the powdered. Some recipes, as you know, it should be powdered. So the liquid stevia works fine in this because you're making a dressing basically.
But if you're using a liquid sweetener such as liquid stevia or monk fruit, you're going to reduce the amount by a lot. You're not going to use a tablespoon of monk fruit.
Right. That's why I said 1 to 3 tablespoons of whatever, because I don't know what you're using.
But you're not going to need 1 tablespoon of monk fruit.
Okay. All right, I agree. Sweeten it at the end then to your taste. And then you're going to use 1 teaspoon of each finely chopped thyme leaves, thyme, rosemary, sage, dill, fresh dill, because dried dill doesn't taste good in the salad. I love dried dill, but not necessarily in this unless you don't have fresh. And then if you're doing the dried herbs, remember that they are more potent than the fresh, so you have to use a little bit more. And again, think of it as a salad dressing you're mixing. Taste it all. If you're concerned about the sugar, put in a little bit of whatever you're using, stir it well, taste it, and then you can always adapt. You're going to use 2 to 3 very finely chopped celery stalks, and don't throw away the greens. The greens are just as nutritious, maybe even more in some cases, than the celery. So chop it up fine and use that in it as well. It gives it that nice blend of color as well. And then 2 to 4 finely chopped green onions, or scallions or chives. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change the flavor. It's just going to be whatever you have available. I used scallions, and they were very good. So it's whatever you happen to have. Sometimes I can't get the scallions. And I don't like a lot of green onion that's raw. I love green onions, but they almost have to be, you know, completely cooked, sauteed before I can eat them. Like digestive system doesn't do well with them. Then you put in some, and I'm saying a half a cup, you can use more or less, of finely chopped pecans. Now, the only reason that I put pecans was because they're sweeter. Remember that. They're even sweeter than almonds. They're sweeter than pine nuts, usually, not always, but usually. So I like pecans, and that's another reason I use pecan oil. So you just have to adjust to what you have. Remember, this is a guide, not set in stone. Always, as Tracy mentioned, use your sweetener at the end so that you can taste it, put in a little sweetener of whatever type you're using. If it's like, I want it, you know, you don't want potato salad real sweet, but you want it tangy, but you want it just a hint of sweetness, okay? Not like my Mayo potato salad. I want it really tart, and that's where I use the Dijon mustard. You're not doing that in this one. It's a whole different recipe. Once the potatoes are chilled, and you can cut them if you haven't already done so, then just toss them. And then add your chopped parsley at the end, okay? Taste it. I like it, again, refrigerated for a couple of hours if you can, or overnight. It's always better the second day. But taste it and then mix it in there. So get it where you like it. Are you ladies peeling your potatoes? Are you mixing into your dressing yet? Where are you, Jill? Did you mix your dressing?
I'm mixing up my dressing right now, and I'll put my potatoes in shortly, so.
Okay, so tell us what sweetener you use, to Tracy's point. Tell us
I
what
went ahead
sweetener.
and did the sugar and the raw, because I had
Okay.
some in it. So I went kind
And
of.
is it the sugar in the raw that's brown colored or white?
Yes, brown.
The brown. Okay, that's what I like. Okay, and then where is Sandy? Sandy, what kind of sugar sweetener are you using, hon?
I'm using monk fruit.
Okay, so then tell us, for instance, how much monk fruit you're putting in to satisfy your taste for it. You don't want it real sweet.
Right.
So maybe
I only put about a fourth right now.
okay,
a fourth
taste
of
it
a-
before you teaspoon.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and stir it, hon, and taste it and let us know how you like it. Linda, how you doing with your salmon? Okay, and you had you used all the ingredients in the recipe, right?
I'm so
Which we
excited. to
won't-
make that.
You what?
I'm excited to make that.
Yeah, the salmon patties are good. And the tuna patties are just as good. But you know, like we have our favorite salmon place, but it's quite a drive, so we don't go but a couple times a year. But when we do, the salmon steaks are huge. And it's wild caught salmon. The owner prides himself in deboning it himself. He's the one that makes a fabulous bourbon sauce that I learned to make, that I will share. And it's so big that we used to split it for two people. And then I said, I don't want to split it. I want my salmon patties the next day. So now I bring half of it home and chop it all up and usually put it in the little food processor, and then I'll make the patties. So I get, even though it's a pricey meal to get it that way, I get 2 meals out of it. So I don't mind. I think I'm justifying the high cost of what he charges for his salmon, but it's well worth it. So, okay. Linda's doing okay. Are you frying them now, Linda? No? You're
Just
not
getting
frying
all-
them yet?
I'm getting my oil heated up.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Okay,
I'm
so
also doing the salmon because I had it ready, so I'll cook it with you again next week. I'm sure it'll be worth repeating.
okay, so you have all the things. It is worth repeating, especially since it's canned and you don't have to run out and buy it,
Right.
you know, fresh. So do you have everything ready for the salmon, Jill? All the
I
other
do.
ingredients?
I do. I just have to pat my patties out and put it in the oil that's heating right now, like Linda.
Perfect. Then go ahead, and then we'll have 2 of you telling us. See, what did Tracy say?
Yeah,
We have to be flexible so we don't break.
you are.
Okay, so
Multitasking.
yeah, multitasking is right. Okay, so I have a comment. Nancy, do you have your gadget handy? Okay, Nancy showed me something and wanted my opinion about it's a what I call a rotary. Tracy, you've probably seen it. A rotary grater. Okay, you put your cheese, you put your, I don't know if you can see. No, yeah, go back
Oh,
a
yeah.
little more. It's got a
Okay, I
suction
see
cup.
it.
You've seen it. It's got a suction cup, and then I have one in Ecuador, not here. And I love it because that's what I used to use to grate my cheeses and stuff. But like everything else, the old rule, you've got to have the right tool for the job. That's why I have enough for a kitchen store here. Because I use the small blender for one thing and the Vitamix for something else and the big food processor. What Nancy's showing is extremely good for using it in an easy way to cut your carrots, get them in there and get them grated instead of using the box grater.
Mhm.
But it doesn't work for everything, just like what I have in the mandolin doesn't work for everything.
Mhm.
I think you said, Nancy, you prefer to do that than the mandolin, right?
Yes, I actually, to be honest, I just got it. So I haven't used it, but my neighbor has one and she's the one that recommended it for the white potatoes because they're hard to cut. Well, you still
They
have to
are
cut
hard to
those.
cut.
I'm sorry, but yeah, it would be for
Yeah.
vegetables. I just sent you the Amazon picture on it. That you
Oh,
can
thank
use
you.
those. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's a great gadget, but just keep in mind, you're not going to be able to, in my experience, buy a gadget or a tool that's going to do everything. That's why I have different sizes of food processors. I just noticed something over the weekend when I was cooking. I have it's not the Ninja brand, but what's the other one that's you put the cup upside down into the blender? I'm going blank.
Vitamix.
Bullet.
But it's
Oh, immersion.
a bullet, like a bullet. Yeah, this is a different brand, but it's the same thing as a bullet. I don't use it, but for things like if I'm in a hurry and I want to make a smoothie and I want to make a quick sauce of some kind and I don't want to use the Vitamix because it's not enough. But it never dawned on me that the smaller onions, if it's a scallion, what's the other one? I'm going blank. The other shallot. I was doing shallots and they never worked in the small food processor. It wasn't enough of them unless you were going to make a full container. So I went ahead and put it in the small cup of, I'm going to call it the Ninja, that goes upside down into the blender. And oh my God, like three seconds. And it was exactly like I had chopped it by hand. So it was much easier to make because I made the new patties that I'm going to share with you over the weekend. And I needed that in the recipe. So the shallot, I didn't want to use onions and garlic because I thought it would be too strong. And they're so good. We're making a second batch today. We ate them all up. We intended to just eat them that one day, but it didn't work. So, and it's made with ground chicken. So we made them and we're going to make them again tonight. So understand, Nancy, you're going to have to experiment. I am always afraid of the mandolin. I'm always afraid I'm going to cut myself, even though I have the glove and the whole bit. But the mandolin does things that no other device does. So just experiment and make sure that what you do in the rotary grater, that they're not huge pieces because you'll jam it and it won't go through. So if you're going to cut the potatoes that way, make sure that you cut them in small, narrow pieces and then go through it. But it's a great gadget. I mean, it's something I wouldn't want to be without either. Yes, Linda, go ahead.
Speaking of mandolins, I borrowed a friend of mine's because she was leaving and it was the kind that you run it over like that. And I bought the glove and I couldn't operate it. I don't know. And my husband had to do it.
It's hard.
But I
It's hard.
found one that stands up
Mhm.
and it has a handle, like a push thing on it. And you
Yeah.
feed it in this way and you go bing, 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 and it comes out in a little tray. So it's,
That would be easier. That would be
oh my
easier for
gosh,
me.
you'll see them if you search mandolins, it's like a stand-up one. My brother bought one. I have a sister that only has one hand. She bought it because she can still push and
Ah,
push and push.
have you seen them, Tracy?
I'm looking right now.
Yeah, it's
Right now?
Want me to
wonderful.
share my screen? I'll share this.
Yes,
so you guys
please.
can see it.
Because it's scary sometimes. Brian does it, but I'm not real good on the mandolin. He is.
Yes.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Yes.
And it does work. It does work well,
Oh,
huh, Linda?
It's amazing. And my brand is Submakin.
There it is right there. It's a blue
Submakin.
one. Yeah,
If you
Submakin.
haven't bought one yet, I totally suggest you buy it.
I'm
Now,
gonna write
mine-
it down. Leave it up for a minute, Tracy.
I think
Okay, let
mine
me, I can actually get the link to it and post it in the chat.
Tracy,
perfect.
mine's a little different and I think it was less expensive. It's got like a round thing on the top. that
Okay, let's
makes
go
it
back.
instead of- Cause
Oh,
I
I
was,
see what you mean. Yeah,
Hold
it's
on, let me
round.
shut
it's that
this.
same brand.
There it is.
Super.
That's what I love about sharing, because then because I do have trouble with the mandolin, even though I love it for paper thin slices. And I have the Japanese mandolin that makes tiny, tiny little pieces like in the sushi. Is it that one? No, that's Dash. Super. There it is.
There it
Is
is.
that it?
This one, on
Super,
the
yeah, the
left?
white one.
$34.90.
This one right here?
That's it.
Yeah, I think I got it on sale. It was like 29,
Yeah.
but I mean, it's amazing. I've done all kinds of things for my dehydrator.
Oh,
apples,
Uh-huh.
And it just,
And
it's
does it slice things real thin?
it has a dial, so you can go
Okay.
from like 1 to something, and then I've never tried it, but there's a way that you turn some kind of dials that you can even do like French fries.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Wider,
Is
but
this the one you have? Is
Yeah,
this exactly the one you have?
yeah.
With the knob at the top? Okay,
Yep.
perfect.
oh, look, you can look at the other images here.
It's great.
Oh, good. Let's see.
So it juliennes, it slices, it strips. Has all kinds of different things.
Oh, that's so much easier than, I mean, she's right. I have trouble with the mandolin and then I'm afraid of it too. So
We have
so
so
we
much
do it.
fun learning new things from each other. I just love it.
Well,
Oh,
we do.
Jorgen's
that's why
sharing
when-
something.
This is very easy
What
for
is-
me.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Oh yeah, and it's got a handle. That's similar to what we call my Japanese mandolin, but I still have trouble getting like something tough through it. But but that one does it thinner. That's why I like it,
Mhm.
Jorgen.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
I
have.
like that one because it makes the real thin little pieces. Yeah.
And you don't hurt
Thank you
yourself.
for sharing.
Yeah, that's
No, you don't. You've got a protector blade. Thank you. That's great. So when, hold on, Nancy. So when Nancy shared that with me and said, "What do you think?" I said, "We need to talk about it on the class, because as Tracy said, that's what a cooking class should be. It's not just about cooking. It's about sharing tips and about, things that'll make your life easier. So work smarter, not harder." Nancy, go ahead, hon.
I just wanted to add real quick, I only paid $19.99. There's 2 models, and red was only available for $19.99. The rest were $24. So, but it does coarse shredder, fine shredder, julienne, thin slices, and waffle slices. So
Right.
when I went back on to order again, they keep raising the price on Amazon. So, but it was only $19.99. So
wow.
Yeah, you're talking about the rotary.
yeah,
The
you can,
rotary one that you bought. Yeah.
yeah, you crank
Yeah,
it. It's
Yeah, the
easy
rotary.
to-
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Thank you. And see, for me, I would have bought the red in a heartbeat because my kitchen is mostly red. Actually, it's all the Italian colors, red, green, and yellow with a little touch of cobalt blue. Okay, so thank you for sharing, Jorgen and Nancy. That was great. Okay, where are we with Jill? Sandy, where are you, hon?
Salmon patties are in.
I've got it.
Go ahead,
I've
Cindy.
mixed it all.
You got it all mixed, Sandy?
Yeah, yeah.
Have you,
And I
have you
used
tasted
about
it?
I used about a tablespoon of the monk
Yeah, see?
fruit. Yes.
How many potatoes did you have, hon?
I I cooked 3 of them, about a pound.
Okay, and so you used a whole tablespoon of monk fruit. See,
I did.
I mean, it just depends how sweet you want it. It doesn't have to be sweet, but it has to, go along with your taste buds. I have a sweet
Right.
tooth compared to Tracy. I know I do, but I don't like potato salad real sweet. I just want a touch of it. Okay, so have you
Yeah.
tasted it, Sandy?
Yes, it's very good.
How is it?
It's very
And do
good.
you miss the mayonnaise? Do you miss the mayonnaise?
No, I just did the no mayonnaise.
Okay, and you don't miss it in the flavor?
No, I don't.
No.
In fact, I like the
Okay.
vinegar.
Yeah, I do too. See, I like the tartness. Okay, Jill,
Yeah.
how about you, hon?
It's
Thank you,
good.
Sandy.
I like it.
How much sweetener and what kind did you use?
I just used a pack of my sugar in the raw and made it like a, sauce with some water. So that's all I used was 1 packet and
Oh,
everything.
you buy
else
it in
stayed-
packets. Okay, so you don't
Yeah.
buy it already in bulk. Okay.
I
I think
just
the
had
packet's
some.
about I think it's about a tablespoon.
Mhm.
So see, that's what we found was about a tablespoon when you use that much. Mac, do you like the flavor?
I love the flavor. It's got so many bursting flavors, all of them. You taste the parsley and the shallot. You taste everything about it. So good.
Mm.
It's
Good,
delicious.
thank you.
Mhm.
Magda, you made it already. I know you did.
Yeah, I made it yesterday, last minute, because I thought that we were supposed to make it last week. So I made it yesterday and I didn't have everything on hand, but I did with what I had. I had yams, red potatoes, the red sweet potatoes. So my potato salad is orange. And I used, instead of the sweetener,
Right.
I used organic maple syrup. And I had parsley
Right.
and green onions from my garden. I didn't have sage and dill, so I didn't put that in. But and I put the chopped pecans in, but it tasted really, really good. It was delicious, actually.
What kind of oil did you use?
I use avocado oil.
Okay.
Instead of you're using the fresh herbs the dried herbs to soak in the oil so that they pick up the flavor better. Okay, so I think that's what she said. If you're using the dried herbs to soak them in the oil.
How long should you leave them in the oil before?
Well, hopefully her internet comes
Actually,
back.
it's if you're using a vinegar and oil, soak it in the vinegar and oil. Just 5 to 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be a long time.
But it
Did
was
you hear that?
soaking because you have to mix all that stuff together. So
Right.
that's picked up the flavor of the dried herbs.
Right, it does. But if you're throwing it all together, you're gonna eat it right away. You'd rather soak them.
One thing I do when I'm
But
making
it was okay.
salad dressing from scratch is I don't just whisk it, I blend it so it emulsifies because
Oh.
then it avoids the vinegar and the oil separating as bad. So I
Right.
love putting it in the blender and then I think it breaks down the particles in the oil so that it actually
does.
blends with the vinegar better.
That's where the little magic bullet type thing, ninja thing, comes in handy. Because you can blend it without having, because if you don't have enough, it's hard to put in the blender, in the big blender. But a small blender or small food processor, yeah, she's right. You can emulsify it that way. Okay, who do we have left? Thank you, Magda, for that. And did you Alex like it? Did you like it?
Both loved it.
Yes.
Very good.
Jill? Oh, good. Jill?
You're
She's,
asking me if I
see,
like
she's a
what?
galloping gourmet. What can I say?
I'm working on the salmon and the
You
potato
like
salad
the
today. so
salad.
I'm
You
real
like
busy. But the salad's really good.
So you're the gallop.
And my patties look delicious. So hey, it's another Dr. G meal that's fit for the kings and the queens.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay, Linda, how you doing with your salmon?
They are out of the skillet cooling and then I'll be able to taste it.
Okay, perfect. Did they get brown, nice and brown? Okay, good. So
Oh, yeah, beautiful.
let's see. That's how that's exactly how they should look. Yeah.
Beautiful, Jill. So I
Yes.
have a question. Did you guys make the tartar sauce?
It's in the fridge getting ready. It's not ready because I wasn't ready. So I did make it.
But when you say you made it and it's not ready, does that mean it's just not chilled,
Yes.
but everything's in it?
Yes.
Okay. Would you do me a favor and go get a little bit and try it?
I can do that. Let me
If it's
stay on
already
top of my
mixed, let's
salmon
try
for
it.
1 minute. I gotta stay on top of
Oh,
my
okay.
salmon for 1 minute, but I will try it before we're done.
She gallops from one end to the other. That's pretty funny. Sandy does too, but Sandy disappears on the camera and
I
Jill you
know.
can see going back and forth.
And I have to
So
say, we're
ladies, if you're
glad-
gonna make,
let me say, we're glad Sandy's back. We missed you
Oh,
a couple
well,
weeks
thank
ago,
you.
Sandy.
yes,
Oh, I want to let you know I
I
made that.
know I kept asking for you.
I made that bean soup and it is
what?
delicious. That navy bean soup
Oh, yep,
with the
and
bacon.
it's delicious. The
Oh
one,
man.
yeah, and you
Oh,
cream
wow.
and you blend half of the beans. Yeah, and that's your
Yes,
thickener.
yes.
Thank you.
I
It's
loved
really
it.
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Thank you. So the important thing for next week is to remember, if you can, make your tartar sauce and if you haven't already, make your tartar sauce and your Worcestershire, because it'll be fine for even a week or more. And then let's talk about what you like and what you would rather add, or I like it tart. I like my tartar sauce with a lot of pickly flavor. Pickles,
Yes.
tart. Right. So adapt it to your taste, and then we'll talk about it. And I'm going to tell you something else to do with those two things next week, okay? Because the Worcestershire sauce is delicious. Now, if you're not avoiding nightshades, you can use regular Worcestershire sauce. But remember, it does have peppers, hot peppers, and I don't remember if it has tomato, but it does have hot peppers in it. Okay, Linda, I see you munching. How is it?
Can you hear me?
Really good. I mean, I don't have any Worcester, I don't have any tartar sauce, but they're just great just on their own.
Okay. Is there any dairy that you can eat on your diet? Can you eat plain yogurt? Can you eat sour cream? No. Okay.
Mozzarella cheese is about it. I don't know why.
Okay. So do you have more? Mozzarella is very different. That's why the molecular structure is different in the way they make it, in the way they ferment it. Do you still have another patty to fry with the salmon?
But I will next week.
Okay. If you want to add cheese, okay, get some mozzarella and cut it real small.
Okay.
Because it's not a chunk, right? Is it slices?
I have all three kinds because that's all I can have. Shredded, chunk, and slices.
Okay. Okay. So the shredded, chop it up even more. Chop it up real fine, like you were chopping up for a child. And mix it in with your salmon patty before you cook it. Mix it in. Oh my gosh. It melts and it comes right out of the center and it's absolutely delicious. Yeah. I like doing it with extra sharp cheddar. The
I
what?
did have to use a piece of my Ezekiel bread and I toasted it and then I put it in my food processor because I couldn't have the panko crumbs. But it all held
Right.
up and
It
fine.
doesn't matter. And the other thing for that is, since we have a little time to chat a couple minutes, when you make meatballs, use bread, like breadcrumbs. Use your Ezekiel bread, whatever bread you have, blend it up and put it in, and add a tablespoon, if you can have plain yogurt, Greek yogurt, not any other kind of yogurt. Add a tablespoon of the mixture to whatever herbs and stuff you're making. Oh, Tracy, we made it yesterday. It was so good. And just the moisture from the yogurt and then the bread. Now you can use panko or you can use any kind of breadcrumbs and mix it in with all your herbs. There's no egg in it. And that is basically the basic that I did for the chicken patties. So they came out just like the salmon patty, just like a hamburger patty, but they were ground chicken with all my herbs and a couple of special tricks, and then put a tablespoon of the yogurt and I think I used for a half a pound. I think I used a half a cup of breadcrumbs. So were you going to show us something, Tracy?
Yeah, I'm going to say two things. One for Linda. If you can't use panko, I have something called pork panko. It's essentially pork rinds ground up into like a panko. So that's what I use. And then yesterday or the day before, I made this, which is, I cooked it a little too much, but you can't taste that. This is an egg white bread.
Recipe, please.
So
Wow.
it's just basically egg whites, I think cream of tartar, salt, and a little bit of allulose, which I would reduce next time.
Yeah.
But anyways, was a good substitute for me because I don't do bread, and it's high protein. So I will make up a graphic with the bread recipe, Magda, because
That's
but it's
good.
different than
That's
bread.
good.
Like if you're a bread lover, then that you might not like it unless you toast it. But what I'm going to do today or maybe tomorrow is try making French toast with it. And also I'm going to try just to toast it in my toaster oven to make like a sandwich or something, like a turkey melt or something with it. So we'll see. But I haven't eaten bread in probably 10 years. So I don't eat.
And also, if you toast it real well, it would make good breadcrumbs.
Oh, good idea.
Then you can put it in your little food processor, the little one like you and I have, and make breadcrumbs.
That's a great idea.
Then you
I
can
like that.
See, then you can put it in your meatloaf, in your meatballs, all of that, in your salmon patties or tuna patties, and you've got it. I mean, you can make it and stick it in the freezer. You've got breadcrumbs ready whenever you want, a half a cup or a quarter cup or whatever. That's a great idea. Yeah, send us. No, I know I'm a bread lover, so I know it's not going to be like my slice of bread, but it would be really good to have it as an option. I have to tell you something funny, Tracy. The panko breadcrumbs are really good if you can eat the pork. And one time I had a recipe to make them, and I didn't have any panko. And I thought, I have a couple of older pork rinds in there that I haven't used. And, after a while, they get to where they're not as crunchy. So I went ahead and put them in the food processor and breaded what I needed with it, and it was delicious. So she's got a good point. If you can't have the other, and you can have the panko breadcrumbs that are pork, or you can they're not bread, they're the panko crumbs, or you can just go ahead and, if you happen to have some pork rinds, stick them in your food processor and make your own crumbs. There you go, Linda. See, solved your problem. You got egg white bread and you got pork crumbs.
Well, I'll let you know what happens.
Yeah.
Taste test. Taste
Sure.
test on the tartar sauce.
A spoon
How
of
is
tartar
it?
sauce.
Oh, I like it. I don't like
Okay,
tartar
is it-
sauce. I
You don't?
generally do not like tartar sauce at all. This is good.
And that one, okay, now, does it have the tartness that a tartar sauce should have, or is it not sharp enough?
No, I think it's sharp enough, I guess, because of the sour cream,
Yeah,
maybe.
right? Did you
And
put
I
some
like
cracked
it-
pepper in it?
And there's some pepper, and I put my dill in it and some lemon. The lemon also helps, right? And then let me think
Yes.
what else was in it. But I like the dill.
Paper.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
I love
mine.
the dill pickles. They just taste really good in it too. So
Yum.
yes,
Well, that's why
yum.
I'm asking is you can put some more, if you want it a little more tart, put a little bit more pickle juice or more pickles, and that'll solve that problem. Because I like it tart. Yeah,
So you
and
don't
a
use
lot of
cream
black
or tartar at
pepper.
all?
Yes.
And the salmon patties are delicious. So what do you have to say, Linda?
Oh,
Ooh,
me?
Yeah, didn't you
Oh,
make the
yeah.
Mine were adapted a little different, but yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
they're great. So, okay, so even though you couldn't have the sauce and stuff on them, they were tender on the inside
Yeah.
And
and
crunchy,
crunchy on the outside. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I am
And
so
you
happy.
don't like tartar sauce. So that's a good endorsement. She doesn't like tartar sauce.
Yeah.
Sandy, you're gonna make your tartar sauce and your Worcestershire next week, or you can use regular Worcestershire sauce. Remember,
I made
you're
your
avoiding.
I made
I'll
your
be-
Okay,
Worcestershire
you made
sauce.
mine.
Yes. And that was really
And
interesting.
Have you tasted it?
Yes, I tried it after I made it, and then I put it into my recipe, and yum. So
And did you try it by itself? Does it taste like?
I
Because
did.
it tastes just like Worcestershire
it
sauce.
does.
Yeah.
It does.
Isn't it interesting? And it doesn't have all the bad stuff in it. And Worcestershire sauce is fermented, so it's a little bit longer aging process. So when you make it, and you make enough to put a little jar or a little bottle in the refrigerator, after a week it's even better, because that's the secret of Worcestershire is it's brewed, it's aged. Okay, so a homemade Worcestershire is a godsend for me because I love it, but I can't have the Worcestershire sauce. So good. So you've made both.
Yes.
Perfect.
And so my salmon
Okay.
patties will be better
Questions?
next week because my Worcestershire sauce will be older.
Exactly. See, you knew what you were doing.
I don't know about
That's
that.
too funny. Well, you were flexible, as Tracy
Yeah.
said, so that you wouldn't break. That's
Awesome.
great. Okay, any comments, questions? I enjoyed that. That was fun. Sorry for all the confusion, but it came out okay. It was great.
So let the
Dawn,
girls.
do you have any questions or comments?
Let me let them
Oh.
know that we're going to do the salmon croquettes next week. But the next week after that is the protein packed pea salad. And then after that is 2 high protein veggie burgers. And then after that is French onion pasta with or without protein. So you guys have a lot of variety coming up. So stick with it.
Will do.
Yeah, and they're all, I'm making them summer recipes. I'm trying to go with the seasons so that it's, I don't want you to have a hot stew in the middle of August. So I'm trying to go with what would be nice. And that's why I came up with, oh, look at how pretty that is. Boy, take pictures of that, Jill. So
I
you can
already
post them
have.
like you usually do.
And I will get them to
Yeah.
Tracy and I'll post some
Oh,
too.
geez.
Dawn wants to add something.
I love
Dawn,
my
go
money.
ahead.
No, hi, I am.
Yeah,
just had a
Dawn, go ahead.
question. I had a question.
Sure.
You mentioned that about the potato skins. Is that true with all other veggies too? Or is it just for potatoes? Do you know, what's your preference?
What veggies are you talking about? Because, like, for instance, I use a lot of zucchini, okay? And I don't peel it. And yet there's been times that I couldn't find organic, even though I still soak it and wash it, that I peel it because I'm not comfortable buying the conventional. Yeah, so I do peel it. I think you have to use your judgment and where you got it from. If you get it from a farmer's market, make sure that you don't get, what should I say? You shouldn't be embarrassed to ask somebody at the farmer's market. You know, I have to be very careful. Is there any sprays close by this crop, or do you spray anything that would be a chemical? There's nothing wrong with asking.
Yeah.
When I've asked that, and the one farmer's market I can get to because they're too far away from where I am, the lady, I said, I apologize, but I need to ask you this because I have a lot of allergies. And she said, oh, honey, don't ever worry. We're proud being at the farmer's market to tell you that we don't use anything. So
Nice.
I think it's okay. Just use your judgment. What else would you think appealing? Carrots?
Carrots.
I
maybe
always peel
cucumbers.
carrots.
You
Always.
peel-
And for the
Okay.
same reason, cucumbers I always peel. Yes. Yes.
And sweet
yes.
potatoes
Thank
would
you.
be the same as
Tracy?
regular potatoes, I guess.
Yeah. 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 They
And
would be.
I
Mhm.
want to add that if you have like a sensitivity to like say lectins, you want to get rid of the skin and the seeds of zucchini,
Yes.
cucumbers, things like that. But not, that doesn't
Squash.
pertain to
Yeah.
everybody. So we have to be our own best health detective and notice what makes our body feel. You know, if we wake up one day and we're inflamed, then we've got to backtrack and see what we ate the day before and the day before that. So sometimes it takes a
Yeah.
day.
It's up to 72 hours. Yep. Yep. And Tracy, you're so right. Thank you for that, because as many of you know, Brian, my business partner, is on kidney dialysis, and he was warned last Friday that his potassium level is dangerously high. That means he's at high risk for a heart attack. Here we're doing everything else right. And we knew that avocados and sweet potatoes are high in potassium, so he hasn't been eating them. I eat them. But what we didn't realize was that there was other hidden potassium in so many foods that he had to become the detective, which he's very good at doing, and started searching everything he eats on a regular basis. And he was eating a lot of potassium without realizing it, and including the minerals he was taking and the stuff they give him at the dialysis center all had potassium. So he's in a very high risk. So they're going to check his blood again this week. Normally they do it once a month. They're going to do it once a week because they're concerned about a heart attack. So just like Tracy said, you've got to be your own advocate. And if you know something's out of balance or something isn't agreeing with you or you're feeling inflamed. And another quick example is, and I think I mentioned it, but not on this program, several summers ago, the organic watermelons were beautiful. And I love watermelon juice in the summer. I had it as a kid all the time. So I would juice the watermelon, and I couldn't figure out why that summer I was hurting so bad until I realized, talking to one of the doctors that are friends of mine that are specialists in inflammation and rheumatoid arthritis, that some people, not everybody, some people get inflammation from watermelons. Now, I have patients that eat watermelon all the time and don't have a problem. I couldn't figure out what it was, so I stopped having the watermelon juice. My fingers, you know how, Tracy, your fingers get with gluten, where they get all swollen? That's how mine got with the watermelon. Couldn't even get my ring off. And usually my ring is very loose, and either one of them. So be careful. Watch your body, because, everything's in season. Watermelons and cantaloupes and honeydews are in season. I can have honeydew, but I can't have cantaloupe. Does anybody know why? This is a good test. What's the difference between a person that has sensitivities, let's say, honeydew and cantaloupe? Can you figure it out? Okay, if you're real sensitive to moles, not necessarily that you have candida, because I don't have any candida. Pardon? The cantaloupe, if you look at the skin, holds the moisture and gets mold that you can't see. If you get a magnifying glass and you look at a cantaloupe, it usually has mold. Where a honeydew melon has a slick skin and doesn't. So if I eat cantaloupe, I don't feel good. I don't get the inflammation like I do with nightshades, but I don't feel good. And when I have honeydew, I'm fine. So pay attention. That's a good example of not assuming that it's a melon. It must be healthy. Your body may not be able to tolerate whatever is in that particular group of food, that genre. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, Nancy, go ahead.
I just wondered about
Nancy.
strawberries, you guys. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes.
I
Yeah,
was wondering on strawberries. It seems like lately the healthier I've been eating, my joint, probably from lectins or whatever, maybe watermelon. I was eating a lot of that, but a lot of strawberries. What about the seeds in that in strawberries? You know, the
I have not heard of that. Here's one thing I have heard
if
of.
the strawberries are organic, neither.
So one thing I've heard is this.
Go ahead.
Vegetables are bitter. They don't want you to eat them. Fruit, on the other hand, wants to be eaten. That's why it is sweet. Okay. So the chances of being sensitive to fruit are not as likely as the different vegetables. All right. So with strawberries, I would be careful of any mold that's in anywhere near them. And when I get organic strawberries from the farmer's market, I soak them in apple cider vinegar and water. And then what I do is I take them and I put them out on a paper towel and let them dry. And then I put them in the refrigerator.
Right.
how
So
much apple
Right.
cider do you put in there, Tracy?
Absolutely.
a quarter cup. And I
Okay.
use I have a glass mixing bowl that's maybe 8 cups. And then I put the strawberries in there, fill it with water and put a quarter cup vinegar and let it soak for like an hour. And then I dry them and then put them in the fridge. And after they're dry, I put a fresh paper towel and put the strawberries in there and
Right.
then refrigerate it. And they last so much longer that way.
Okay, thank
They
you.
do. And put another paper towel on top if you think of it, because on the bottom and on the top, it takes all the moisture out. That's what we do. So
Yeah.
that's a good point. But Tracy's got a point, Nancy. If it's got mold and it's microscopic, because strawberries mold very easy, where cherries don't, for instance, then you could be getting the mold that you're sensitive to. So I haven't heard of too many people having problems with the strawberries itself, with the seeds. It's the mold or the pesticides if they're not completely organic. So soak them like Tracy said, and you can use, the apple cider vinegar. You can use white vinegar and hydrogen peroxide, or just white vinegar. Soak them and do what she suggested. But make sure you put paper towels, sandwich them between paper towels, because then any moisture after you've laid them out to dry will be absorbed, and it's not going to be as apt to form mold. Okay. Does that
Okay.
help everybody?
Thank you.
Boy, what a lesson. But think of all the things we learned and we shared today. That's
Wow.
great.
Glad
Love
you got
all
to
of
go.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everyone.
All right,
Thank you,
bye.
everybody.
Bye, everyone.
See you next
Thank you.